how to create a smooth slide effect like this in Premiere Pro. So here we've got 2 clips and we're going to make this cut more interesting. To do this, we're going to reveal the second clip by sliding it in. To make that possible, we need to move it above the first clip, and then we want to overlap it by about the length that we want the effect to last. Then to make things clear, I'll create a cut on the top clip at the end of that overlap using Ctrl K, then move up to Effects and search for Transform. Drag Transform to your clip, and the reason we'll create this effect with Transform effect instead of motion is because with Transform we can add motion blur, which will make the slide look more realistic and smooth as it moves across. So now under Transform, click the stopwatch on position. This will create a keyframe. Then we just need to move the X-axis position here. But one weird issue you might find here is when you change the setting, the image might disappear. I'm not sure what causes this, but it only occurs if you're on the first keyframe. So move the playhead to the second keyframe and you won't have that problem. Now you can see that when we adjust the position, we can see the image move as we adjust it. So let's move it all the way out of sight to the right, which is where we want it at the start of the effect. Then move the playhead to the end of the clip and hit the reset button here to reset the image to create the second and final keyframe, but with the image in its original position. So this is the basic movement in place, but as you can see, it looks very basic and not smooth at all. To make this more dynamic and smooth, we need to adjust the speed going out of the first keyframe and also going into the last keyframe. So right click the first keyframe, go to Temporal Interpolation and select Ease Out, as we want the speed to ease out of the first keyframe. Then go to the second keyframe, do the same again, but this time select Ease In, as we want the speed to ease down into the second keyframe to end the effect. To see this visually, expand the arrow under the transform to see the graph. This shows the speed is highest in the middle of the effect, but for the realistic touch on this, we can make it so it's faster at the beginning and eases down smoothly towards the end by grabbing these toggles and pulling them to the left. You can hover over this faint line here and drag down to see it clearer. Move it all the way to the left, and we can also move those keyframes right to the end now since we've made the adjustments. But the real final touch on this is the motion blur. So bang that up to 360, you can adjust it as you like, but as you can see here, that adds the realistic blur. And then it's just a case of adjusting the length of the effect to give it the right feel. And you can do that by adjusting that second keyframe to make the effect longer or shorter. To give myself more space to work in effect controls, I'm going to delete the leftover part here and extend the affected part. Now I've got more space to work with the tail end of the effect. Keep playing it back and see what feels right. So I'm happy with that length, but something else you can do, of course, is add this to text or whatever you like. But rather than make it again, we can create the preset so it's always there to grab and drag onto any clip to give us the effect instantly without having to make it from scratch. To do that, select the clip that the effect is on, then in Effect Controls, right click on the effect, in this case it's Transform, select Save as Preset, name the preset and choose the type. Scale will mean the effect will always adjust its size to the clip that you're adding it to, whereas Anchor to Endpoint means the effect will be a fixed length regardless of the length of the clip that you're adding it to. My preference for this sort of effect is Scale. Click OK, and now you have a preset that you can use from this point on in any project. Search for the preset we just made in Effects and drag it to any clip. In this case, it's this text, and that's the effect. So if you found this video useful, check these ones out, and if you want to skip the effect creation process entirely, save yourself a bunch of time by grabbing a vault full of pre-made effects, check out the Solid Coast Essentials Effects Pack. The link's in the description down below. There's a whole bunch of effects, just drag and drop to easily add that smooth and professional touch to your vids. Transitions, caption effects, reveals, fluid motion effects. Saves me hours. I reckon it would save you hours too. Go grab it. See ya.